JB. Wow. Kumusta dyan sa Canada, JP? Ka Kala ko ba, ano na dyan, snowy seasons. So, yun. Sige, sige guys, so, let's start, no? Sa ating, early rin tayo mag-hacker. So, hello guys. Hello everyone. Magandang gabi din. Hopefully, nakain na kayo. Well, kain na kayo ng dinner niyo. Of course, you can still listen naman while eating your dinner. But let's continue or especially sa mga interested to learn, really learn when it comes to UX design. So for tonight's session is actually not a continuation of the main, what we call main sessions of Design for Everyone. Right? So this is a kind of sidetrack session that I want also to mention mentioned from the book of Adam Danaway, no? Practical UI. Of course, our interns here already know about these things, but for others, of course, di pa nila alam. And I want to tackle this one too because it's a very important concept to know in terms of UI UX design. So the uh, topic tonight will be about the phrase, the significance of the phrase, less is more. Now, we hear this phrase all the time. Kahit saan. Actually, this is a very common phrase na. Less is more, less is more. But what do this phrase mean in the context of UX design? Right? So in UX design, guys, simplicity is the name of the game. So it is used to capture user attention for critical information. Oh, actually, I haven't changed this, but this is from the um, description in the last sessions. But anyway, yung yun nga, simplicity is the name of the game, right? If you can see, most of the projects or most of the big apps at there has very intuitive AI, although they are aesthetically good looking, but they are mostly simple in terms of UI, right? But if you compare it to landing pages of some web designers, they have very complex na mga ano, like animations, 3D na mga thing. Pero compare mo yan sa mga malalaki na mga app, it's very minimal. I mean, it's very simple and it's very intuitive. Kasi it's not very practical to have those kind of animation, those kind of uh, over complexities in a critical app kasi it can both compromise usability and accessibility. It also uh, would be very laggy, no? Especially if there are those many na mga animations, mga things that most landing pages have, diba? You can see sa mga landing pages. That's why most of them are only landing pages. So yeah, less is more. So this topic, guys, is just a summary, basically a summary and a short explanation of the explanation given to us by Adam Danaway in his practical UI na book, which is practical na mga techniques to simplify your interfaces by removing unnecessary data. So this is more of like general guide or a compiled guidelines from previous mga designs or sa mga commonly designs in UI UX design. This is just a straightforward guide or very specific guide for that. So you can hopefully you can learn from this now, especially kasi most of these issues are very common or most of this na mga topic na mention niya is very common for in UI UX design. screen or field. So the very first thing is most UI UX designer uh, forgot to remove unnecessary information. Now, every element na ina-add nyo sa interface nyo will compete with existing elements, right? Two elements will compete each other, right? This can make the interface harder for people to understand, diba? Especially if there are what we call unnecessary information. Unnecessary information, guys, are those elements that is more of a distraction or increases cognitive load than giving benefit to the user, diba? So you should remove duplicate elements or unnecessary elements, simplify your interface without losing any information, diba? Avoid unnecessary words kasi uh, for example, you come up with a sentence and then you use very complex amount of sentence just to make it long, and then those sentences are not necessarily needed for the overall sense of the sentence. Of course, you can remove it kasi it might damage your um, design instead of giving it a more sophisticated na look or feel. Diba? So, for example, this is, as you can see, it's very intuitive naman. If tingnan nyo, UI design, but if you observe this one, the UI design fundamentals course na title is repeating. Most websites, some siguro, uh, do that, right? Kasi they repeat these types of elements, knowing that they can just make it single element nilagay na sa itaas katulad nito. Diba? This is much more cleaner and then this is much more simple in terms of interface. So that is just the first thing to mention about having a less is more feel of a design. So secondly is you should remove unnecessary styles. Right? So just like unnecessary information, unnecessary styles can also be distracting and can increase cognitive load. If you don't know this, cognitive load is basically a the capacity of the thinking of users in the current situation. For example, you give them tasks. Of course, that is another cognitive load. But if you give them tasks and then they have been distracted by unnecessary styles and unnecessary information, that is another cognitive load. Diba? So as much as possible, as a UI designer, you should minimize cognitive load for users. You should also give them the most benefit in terms of design kasi sa iyo na design niya. So, you should, uh, parang gano'n yan, mas dapat paboran mo yung users instead mo yung sarili mong opinion. Kasi it gives you more na parang reach or some kind of effectiveness in terms of design. So, unnecessary styles are those that does not convey information. They are purely decorative. You can think about that one, but specifically, there are designs na they add colors to this part, but in reality, it is not necessary or it doesn't have function. As much as possible, remove those styles that are not necessarily needed in current situation. Right? So, of course, I'm not saying you should not do any decorative styles, but aesthetic is also important, but ensure na they cannot compromise usability and accessibility. So, for example, this one, at first glance, this is a great, actually, an aesthetically good design. So we have colors, we use the colors effectively, but there's so much going on this screen, right? There are lines, there are colors, there are icons, diba? Which most of this one are not necessary. For example, these lines, if people can see this card, right, they will immediately think based on mental models that this is clickable. So you don't need to add underline. And then this arrow, since similarly they will think that this is clickable, of course, you can also add that one, but don't need the colors. kasi you don't really need these colors na separate colors. It doesn't make any sense. Especially this line no? And this one, unless you have purpose for this one. So if wala, of course, you can make it simple by doing this. You don't need to do that too much na mga design if it's not necessary, right? Kasi it can hinder usability and accessibility, especially for those na can have color blindness or have difficulties in seeing text with underline, something like that. So it's something to use the latest visual trends, right? Mga latest na mga visual trends. But just remember na trends are always changing, diba? So it's something to use talaga those na mga latest trends like neo-brutalism, um, skeuomorphism, glassmorphism, right? So that is actually good looking. But if you notice, most of the applications you have encountered do not use those, especially big na mga applications. Kasi they know that these designs can hinder usability, right? And yun nga, sabi nga ni Don Norman, you should design a timeless designs. So trends come and go. If after a month, your design will look old na already or will look somewhat of kanang yung wala na sa trend, diba? So you need to design timeless designs, right? So using minimal styles guys that highlights quality content is preferable for interface nativity compared to using fancy effects, right? Sticking with minimal styles guys is actually highlight the quality content or is better and is timeless compared to trendy effects. Right? If you visit any portfolio of a designer and then pick those project na that is not only a landing page but also have a web application, you can see that they don't use too much ng mga trendy effects. They focus on minimal na additions or designs because they know if this app is planning be to exist for a long time, they don't need to go with the trends kasi that will make their app na parang napaglumaan. Diba? So yun. For example, this one is a glassmorphism and this one is a I think neomorphic. This is a neomorphic. Right? So if you can see, both of these are beautiful na design, right? But yun nga, sabi ko nga, this also creates a difficulty in terms of visual hierarchy. It's also very difficult to achieve sufficient contrast unless you know what you're doing using these visual na mga languages, diba? So, of course, I'm not saying that you should not experiment with different visual styles, but make sure na you know what you're doing or you don't hinder usability or exclude people from using your interface. So say most people, this this features is um, very parang very attractive to use, right? Especially sa mga but in for older people, this is much more of a hindrance than as a convenience. No? So you exclude the older people and then you focus on that, which is very wrong in terms of UX. You should design for everyone. You have target users, but your design should still cater those who you supposedly not target users. So yeah. Another is that is about trends, guys. Ayan is not all links, guys. If you know, do not need to be underlined. Right? Most designers, if they think, or if the especially beginner ones, if they know that this would be a link, they put an underline to it in order to give visual cues. Na a links, right? Especially for users to know na this is a links, right? For accessibility and usability, it's safe to make text link colored and underlined, right? To clearly indicate interactivity to differentiate them from other text. Some elements, though, for example, menus, cards, tabs is already feel interactive. Meaning, if people will already know that this is clickable by just looking at it, right? For example, menus, you know that this menus are already can be clickable, or cards can be clickable based on mental models and familiarity of that type of specific element, diba? So, you should remove conventional link for this type of component, kasi it makes you able to simplify your interface, right, guys? So you should make your interface simple, right? It's not minimal. It's simple. We will be talking about the difference about that one later, no, on this session. So, for example, this one, the cards you see, most of you will probably already have an intuitive sense na if you see this card, you can click it, right? So you don't need to add this line and this color, right? Kasi it already looks interactive without the line and without the color, di ba? So yun. It's a simple rule, but especially beginner designer, do not know no at first, or doesn't really even bother to know about that one. But most it has been included because Adam Dunaway, it's himself, also experienced this one and also see it on other designs. So another one is you should use progressive disclosure. So what is progressive disclosure? Progressive disclosure, guys, is showing an information gradually, right? To minimize cognitive load. Kasi for example, they log into your web app and then you bombard them with so much information. You have features, you have rewards, you have this, that. It will overwhelm the users. It will also create a cognitive load. 'Di ba? If you notice sa mga apps na, if you, for example, if you are new sa ano ba yun, basta may mga apps na parang similar to COC na if you log in and then you're a first time user, they don't immediately bring you to the main menu. Or if they immediately bring you to the main menu, they don't show all of the icons that is clickable, right? Uh, they only show it as long the more you proceed with the game, and is the more the specific icon is relevant, diba? So for those who need more details, provide easy access to additional information. But you see the point, no? For most of those apps, that is called progressive disclosure, diba? For example, sa COC, if you play COC, they don't immediately tell you about you need to level up yung parang center na town mo, or yung parang building. They just teach you how to build structures muna before that one, diba? That is called progressive disclosure. So progressive disclosure, disclosing information adds extra interaction, but it can also significantly reduce cognitive load, diba? And speed up decision making. So yun nga, you should prioritize users feeling over you, no? Kasi the more you prioritize users feeling, the more you make your designs user centered, the more it is more usable and more accessible to most of the users you are targeting. For example, this one, in a pricing, we have this one, which is so many things to read, right? But people scan. They don't read immediately. They only read if they think they want to know the information. For example, this one, they scan strengthen your brand with a custom domain. And then they read and they scan all of it. But if they see na sobrang rami nito, they will, most of them will probably not gonna read it, di ba? But so you need to apply progressive disclosure like this. To those who really want to read it and really want to know more, they can click this one. But if the necessary information is still already mentioned to these two title, and you don't need to give this agad-agad if they don't need it, especially for those who are just looking at the pricing, no? So yun, that is called progressive disclosure. For example, this one, you don't need to show this mobile number if the user don't need to receive updates via text message. Only when they click it, you show this mobile number kasi need mo to. But if you, hindi mo to need and base siya dito na input, of course, you don't need to show it. So that is what is progressive disclosure is. Diba? You can use descriptive label para ma-aid. Yun nga, visual cues is what we use because people scan or users scan. You do not read immediately. Right? So icons, arrows, colors, that is what I mean when I say visual cues, diba? So it aids scanning and ensure actions make sense when read out of the context. So yun. Okay, so dito na tayo na topic, which is also very important. Don't confuse, guys, minimalism with simplicity. Minimalism is very different with simplicity, right? Minimal don't always mean simple, right? We have a tendency na we favor minimal interface kasi mas maganda siya and mas clean. Pero, based on the name, guys, minimal has fewer elements and style. Simplicity is easier to use. They are very different concepts, right? For example, let's see an example. For example, this one. This on the left, we have a minimal design. On the right, we have a simple design, right? On the minimal design, we have very less na elements. But as you can see, it might confuse user. Anong ginagawa nito? Anong name nito? Anong ginagawa ng icons na to? Anong ginagawa ng icons na to? Anong name ng filter na to, di ba? This is minimal. And then, anong mangyayari if i-click mo to? Saan yung save? Ganon. So, it's not simple to use necessarily, but is minimal. Simplicity is this one. We can see the save. We can share it. It's very easy. And then we know what screen is this because of the title. We know what filter yung gamit natin because of the label. And we know ano yung purpose ng each na icons because of this label, diba? So that is the difference between minimal and simplicity. So less is more means favor simplicity, not favor minimalism, diba? Although for me, I combine minimalism with maximalism, right? But I combine it in a way that does not compromise usability and kasi maganda tingnan yung may minimal ka na part, may maximal ka din na part, but yun nga, you should also always prioritize usability, right? So yun. If you can see here what I mean before, simplification, yes, isn't just about reduction, diba? Kasi if you remove or hide too much ng mga elements, it can also harm usability. So you need to make sure na yung mga critical na information and details, you don't need to hide it. For example, the save one, you don't need to hide the save one kasi necessary yan. Parang ganun. So this issues, guys, is fixed by making sure important actions are clearly visible, which means it has no opacity, less than 50%. It has labels. Don't just use icons by itself. Bigyan mo siya ng label, di ba? Parang, di na ako mention. So, parang gano'n. So, and have sufficient contrast. Meaning, yung background and foreground can be differentiated. Not too much background, not too much foreground. They can be very differentiated na, ito, makita ko, ito hindi. Yun. So, let's proceed, no? Important content should be visible, right? So revealing information gradually to help users complete tasks without overwhelming them. But we know a progressive disclosure. But again, for those who need more details, provide easy access to additional information. But there are cases na we need to show an information because it is important. Right? For example, okay, before the example, people don't use what they can see. If they don't know, actually there has been debate on using a hamburger na familiar kayo sa hamburger na menu, yung parang three line, that is called hamburger menu. Iba din yung 3 dot na kebab yun, kebab. So hamburger menu, there has been debate if it's actually practical or it hinders usability. Kasi people don't use what they can see. If they can see it immediately, they don't think that it can be used, 'di ba? Unless they need it. So yun nga, sabi ni Adam Darrell, if there is space, try to ensure na yung important na mga content or important na mga information, text, colors, kahit ano, are visible when they are needed. No? For example, this one, the two have the first one has hamburger menu. The second one has layouted the three important menus kasi three lang naman kasi may space pa, 'di ba? Ito yung parang subtle difference lang na is also a good insight no. Kasi if there is space, you don't need to do this one. Kasi people will have more clicks to accomplish something very simple. For example, mag-click ka ng about, you have only one click. If mag-click ka dito, you have two clicks. Pindutin mo to, tapos lalabas to, tapos click mo na naman ulit. Di ba? It might sound parang grabe naman yan, parang ganun. Pero in UI UX design guys, efficiency of user is very important. Kasi it based rin sa mga stats especially from Adam Danaway, it can reduce churning. Meaning yung parang din sila gagamit ng app kasi they think there are too much to do before they can use the app. Diba? So you need to prioritize efficiency for users. Yun nga, if you need to hide content due to space constraints, of course, make sure it's discoverable. For example, we have this type of content. We know that it's a carousel. Marami ito. Of course, if dalawa lang siya, okay na to. But if you know that there is content here, it's not practical to do this design, yung nasa left. Kasi users will not know na ma-swipe pala to sa gilid kasi they can't see that functionality. So what you do is do something like this na parang nahati yung pang third to signify or visual cues. Sabi ko nga na meron pang marami na content dito. You can just swipe right, no? Or left pala. So yun. That is hidden content versus discoverable content. So doon yun, guys. No? Proceed tayo is you should apply mobile-first design approach. Okay, this is a bit controversial yan, pero let's discuss this now. So, sabi ni Adam Danaoy, start design for the small screen size first to prioritize important elements and remove unnecessary ones, ensuring your product works well across different screens. So, what Adam Danaoy is pointing out, guys, if you have a design and then it's possible to start with mobile, you should start with mobile. Why? Because mobile, guys, offers small spaces or small screen, which means it allows you to really really be mindful of the space and only put the necessary information. Right? Kasi if you have a large screen which have a large space, you can go all out na lagay ko to dito, lagay ko to dito, lagay ko to dito kasi malaki yung screen. But if start ka ng mobile, you will identify ano yung mga kailangan mo lang kasi you have space constraints. Right? So that is what Adam Danani is trying to point out. Starting with smaller screen helps you ensure yung very simple na interface on larger screens is also possible. But if you start on a larger screen, you can overload the UI with excessive information. But if you start on mobile na screen, you can identify, ito, important to. So, lagay ko to. Ito, hindi to kailangan. So, we need to taguin muna natin to. Diba? You can identify the necessary information first. So, this excessive na information may increase cognitive load and slow-moving decision making. Sabi ko nga, use progressive disclosure and also use people don't use what they can see, diba? And be mindful of the cognitive load. So yun. For example, this is desktop first. As you can see, so many elements here, right? And then mobile first is you prioritize those elements na kailangan. Think of like a house, guys. Now, if you're building a house, if you have a small room, di ba? You can think of the important na mga gamit na ilalagay mo. Kasi you have small room. You need to be mindful of the space. So, kasi tipid ka lang sa space. So it's similar to it's a similar analogy on starting on design first. I mean mobile first approach, right? If you have a living room in a small home, it's much more clutter to have more na maraming gamit and mas masikip siya if marami kang gamit if maliit lang yung room mo, 'di ba? Parang ganun lang na analogy. It's also compared sa na malaki yung space mo na you can put anything you want, no? If you have a little space, you can prioritize what is important instead na maglagay ka pa ng ganito na hindi naman kailangan kasi you start with a small space, no? But again, this is um also controversial kasi most designers start with desktop kasi they familiar with that one. Yun nga, if you already know what you are doing, you can start with the desktop. But if there is a chance or there is a possibility na you can start with a mobile, start with mobile kasi it gives you more ability or benefits in terms of pag-design mo instead sa mag-start ka ng malaki na screen. So yun. So another is i-reduce mo yung choice or yun nga, sabi ko nga, cognitive load to speed up decision making. 'Di ba? So, if you if you haven't know guys, we have concepts about cognitive load and then we also have content about Hicks law. If you are not familiar with Hicks law, the more choices you gave to a users, the more time make they take to make a decisions. 'Di ba? So you need to present fewer choices in order for users to immediately make simple decisions. Make it simple for them, 'di ba? If maisip nyo na parang grabe naman, parang too much yung gagawin ng UX designer para lang ma-satisfy yung user. Yes, that's why sabi nga ni Don Norman, simple systems or simple effective designs is not noticeable kasi you take it for granted. But bad designs is very noticeable kasi it will affect you when you use an app or something. Diba? So, what you can do is, you should remove choices. If makaya pa i-remove, you should group or categorize choices. For example, stepper or tabs, parang ganon. And then break up choices into multiple sites. Ito, stepper to, or tabs. Or recommend choices. For example, you have 4 pricing plans. If you can see, most websites put the recommended one onto the top or something na parang may visual cue sila na this is the one that is recommended. Kasi most people will pick those na recommended kasi they think maraming social proof, 'di ba? We have mentioned that one. It's called social proof. Maraming tao bumibili dito or maraming tao na ang choice is ito na lang rin yung piliin ko, 'di ba? Parang ganon na concept. That is called social proof and then minimizing cognitive load. So that's how you can speed up decision making, 'di ba? If they are efficient on using your app, they have also a good chance that they will stay on your app, especially for those professional apps, no? I'm not talking about social media apps, guys. Like those professional apps like Figma or something or Adobe, mga ganon. So yan. So first is you can remove choice, di ba? To reduce choice, you should consider moving unnecessary options whenever possible in designs. So each options should earn its place to avoid potential distraction. For example, we have this form, right? If on sending a weekly newsletter, you're only gonna need email, you don't need to ask for their first name and the company name if you're only gonna need email. Kasi this is also based on a study, guys, that people don't like newsletters na mga pop-up kasi there are too much to do before you can proceed to the next na step. So most businesses or most websites, they adjust their pop-up na only ask for the email. 'Di ba? If you can see, most websites na nag-ask na newsletter, they only gonna ask you with the email. That is not like that before. A few years back, it's gonna ask you first name, company name, and then email. Pero they have discovered na the more you minimize the design, the more you simplify it, and the more you provide a little choices, the more it is effective for users. right? So our job as a UI UX designer is to make the user's life or processes simple. So number two, categorize choices. So you should reduce the number of complexities by grouping or categorizing options. So it makes the easier and faster to choose, no, for a smaller number of categories. For example, this one, we have a category that is in total 185, but we know that these articles can be categorized. So instead of doing like this, you should do like this. You separate it in a significant mga categories na kailangan. Separate it into interiors, architects, gardens, right? This is more easy to easy to filter out kasi ito na 185 sa lahat ng isang screen lang, 'di ba? You get the point. So, third is break up choices into multiple steps. This is for example, in a website na so many pages, 'di ba? You can think of that website. What do you think they do? They break up choices into multiple steps. For example, in DigitalOcean, they have so many pages, over 100 pages. Now, how do DigitalOcean arrange those pages in navigation? They categorize it. So they have products, which is mentions every product they have, right? And then they have solutions. Every use case you can think of. It's a different categories. They have products, which is the physical product they offer, and then they have solutions, which is the solutions that those products do. Di ba? Kasi people will know the product but don't know ano yung ginagawa ng product. People will also know the solution but they don't know what product can do the solution. So they categorize it like that. We have also developers for all pages na related sa developers. We have also partners na all pages related sa partners, and then pricing. 'Di ba? With so many pages na kailangan nila i-add, they categorize it to make it simple for the navigation. This is also part of information architecture, which is also part of UX design. So yun. Number 4 is recommend choices, right? This is very a simple na concept. If you have pricing plans, if you have search engine search features to make it simple for users, recommend choice. For example, if I search int, it should suggest me searches na most people search, or some kind of algorithm that suggests me something. Kasi I am more efficient when you give me choices to kasi i-type ko lahat before tapos di ba? So yun, it makes the life of users easier. So following a system of logical guidelines, guys, can help you effectively, efficiently make informed design decisions. So you should remember that perfection, sabi nga ni Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, I probably butchered that, but sabi niya is perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add. It is achieved when there is nothing left to take away. Kasi yun nga, we take those things that are not necessary, we achieve yung parang stable state. Right? Kasi if you have too much things, it's unstable. So yun. So these are just some of the most common mga UI designs na constraint that UI UX designers do, especially beginners, that is affecting their designs in terms of usability and accessibility. So you should remember that. Sabi ko nga before, a simple systems, right? Think of a simple systems like chairs, water bottles, mga ganun. That's a simple system. Has a complex engineering behind them. Diba? You don't get water bottles by yung at first gumawa ka ng water bottles and then that is already the perfect na water bottles. No. It takes time. That's why kasi they think what is effective, what is efficient, diba? Still improving. So yun nga, in UX design, you don't really reach an end or a goal. You only improve. So yun. So that is for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free na send you lang. Now, hopefully you have learned something about this concept of less is more, right? So, do you guys have any questions? Oh, so sabi ni uh, busted elbow or si Renyal is no, wala. Master Crime, wala din. So, hopefully you've learned something, guys, no? Wag niyo kalimutan send nyo, guys, yung ano natin, yung mentorship session I mean, attendance nyo sa call attendance pa rin. Type nyo lang, wait lang. Send ko lang. Call attendance. Type more indeed. In call. So you can receive your POAP. So, as you can see, guys, marami tayong mga upcoming events, especially here in General Santos City. No. If you are near, you can join naman. Talaga. Kasi most of these events are free naman. But if bayad siya, we'll find a way if you really are interested to know. I mean, to join. No. So, yun. So, as I have mentioned, siguro, if you guys have send nyo lang mga questions yung guys kasi if or any suggestions. So it's been a while, no, na naka-ano tayo kasi we're getting busy na rin in terms sa dito. That's why it's been a while na rin na nakapag mentorship session. At least naka-mentorship tayo this month, no? First mentorship session natin this month. So, yun. Hopefully, you've learned something, guys, no? Bigay na, baka may announcement sila, Ma'am Chi or Ma'am Karen. Should they? Ha? And if you haven't know, guys, we have community event. Solana, specifically, if you haven't know, Solana is a blockchain and a platform. This Saturday, dito sa Jensa, no? Although I'm not sure if you have time or you are near Jensen, of course you can. Partner natin yan is yung marami tayong partners doon. I-mention ko lang at least para ma-excite ka, di ba? No? So we are partner with DDC, which is Davao DeFi community, and then powered by Solana. Of course, BitGet, and then Super Team Philippines, which is mostly yun nga, mga mga Web3 na mga communities natin. So, if you want to join, you can register sa sa link na binigay sa announcements. Free dinner. If makapunta kayo, of course, they offer free dinner, no? Free registration and free food for the first 50 participants. So, yun. You can also win merch. So, pero yun nga, slots are limited naman. So, you can register naman sa link na binigay. So, hopefully, kita tayo, guys, this Saturday, if you have time. And, yun lang naman yung mentorship session natin. Hopefully, you've learned something. And, hopefully, you have something to take away, no, from it. So, that's it for tonight, guys. Since wala naman announcement, send nyo lang yung attendance, guys. Sa call attendance, yung isend ko dito, ha. Type nyo lang, less is more indeed. So, parang ganun. Para ma-receive nyo yung po natin. So, yun. Thank you so much sa inyo. And, yun lang. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much. Yun. Kita-kits na naman sa next.
Bye, guys. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys. Good night.
Thank you, guys.